The council meeting. We have a full quorum, and we'll start with the opening prayer.
Okay, let's pray. Heavenly Father, tonight we invite you to join and guide this meeting tonight. Impart wisdom and understanding to the members of council. May their discussion be filled with respect and humility as they discuss the work of the town. Bless the residents of our community with health, provision, and prosperity. Open the doors of opportunity and bestow favor on every step taken. We place St. George's people and his plans in your mighty hands. In Jesus' name, amen.
I'd like to have a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll move. I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the next one is the approval of minutes of previous council meeting. Regular meeting of council July 11, 2022. There was a minor correction that I gave to the councillors. With that one in mind, I just want to actually see if there are any questions. Okay, can I have a motion to approve the minutes as amended by this change?
I make the motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you. A second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Conflict of interest declarations. Anyone has a conflict to declare? Noted that there are no conflicts. Delegations. No delegations, right?
No delegations.
General reports. General government report. Jason?
Thank you, Your Worship. General government report for the month of July. Canal Beach is progressing along. Doors were installed, all exterior siding is up, and a roll-up door is installed in the maintenance shed. Currently sitting under budget by about $12,000. And just so people do know, all that money that was allocated for Canal Beach was about $360,000. That money is brought to the town by a claim. We do not receive that money beforehand, so this is all through claim work through the province of New Brunswick. We hope to have a news release drafted. It is drafted, just waiting for some feedback from the province on the status of Canal Beach. Industrial park expansion, we are looking at moving ahead with some preliminary work for well development and new lagoon development. Some funding options also being worked on as well for that. We're doing some, we've drafted a development agreement with a developer here in town for a subdivision, a house subdivision, individual residential homes. And the Carlton School, the school in Carlton Street Apartments construction is still on schedule for this fall. A few questions about the Hillcrest subdivision. Cut in the road. We do plan to address the road this month of August. I would say that we are probably 2 to 3 months behind on addressing that issue. Manpower and just a little of scheduling issues there. So we hope to be replacing the corroded service line that crosses Hillcrest and fix those up and have that paved fairly soon. So it is going to be addressed. We haven't forgotten about it, and certainly my apologies to the folks in the Hillcrest subdivision for the delay on this. Municipal designated highway, we are waiting the construction plan and cost estimate from the engineers so we can move to tender for the municipal designated highway construction on Mount Pleasant. The Quad New Brunswick proposal, we've had a few questions about that. We are waiting some responses from the Quad NB group, just regarding, number one, I guess, regarding the route northern part of Riverview Avenue, but we are working on drafting up a bylaw as well. The St. Mark's First Community Cemetery, so we've completed the third and final phase of the restoration of that cemetery. Certainly we ask people to take a look at it when they go by. You see most of the headstones are all nice and white now and been reset, something that's been probably in the works for about 100 years. And we also hope to get a news release out as well this week. And that was $5,000 each year over the last 3 years, so about $15,000, and that was paid for by the province. Lower bridge installation work. Once we finalize the well 2 work, which we're still waiting for 1 to 2 invoices, we can determine the funds remaining and the coverage of the work. So we want to get that installation in certainly before winter time, which is the main reason for that work. The Goody groundwater under direction influence for our wells, repairs still being discussed on well 3. Once that's completed, then we can submit to the province. The reason why we haven't submitted to the province now is just they're going to, number one, highlight the fact that there's an issue with the well casing on well 3. So we're trying to get around that beforehand, take care of it now. The walk and trail, most trail prep has been completed for the Coastal Link. We expect asphalt to be laid over the next week or so. We're still waiting for Main Street improvement. We're still waiting for 2 flower pots to be delivered and a placement of a bench on Main Street as well. So the pickleball courts, we're scheduling contractors for the upgrading of the pickleball tennis courts. So that's moving along. We've got some new quotes as of today. Basketball courts as well. We did put an application in with the province for resurfacing the basketball court here at J.O. Spinney Drive. We did also purchase, along with some regional cost-sharing funds for recreation, some new backboards for the basketball court. Park and road signage. Public Work will be installing new and updated signage to several parks and areas around town, as well as replacing several road signs. We just want to remind people that Canal Beach closes at dusk. We've had that sign installed and replaced already twice this year. So just to let people know that the beach does close at night. We are finalizing one of the full-time public works positions. We've pretty much finalized down to 2 candidates, and coverage has been done with a couple of casuals as well. So dangerous unsightly, we still have 3 open files. And 2 building permits were rejected, and we're doing some follow-up there with those rejections, working with the Service Commission on those files. ATVs on the Main Street was the main complaints that we've received over the last month. Just to remind residents and non-residents that ATVs are not permitted on the streets. Despite some of the discussions with Quad and being on the proposal, nothing has been approved. It's still illegal to drive an ATV on town streets. We do have a couple of files that have been opened with residents' complaints on ATVs driving on Main Street. And that is it for general government.
Questions?
I have a question around the lower bridge insulation work. Somehow I believed or feel that we approved the funding for this. So what happened to the money?
That's still there. So it's associated as well with well 2. Both well 2 and the insulation on Lower Bridge were part of that fund.
Okay.
So we're just waiting to see how much we have left from the well 2. We don't want to sort of just jump ahead and do the Lower Bridge and suddenly we've had a deficit on the well 2 upgrades. So trying to determine what that's going to be. We haven't gone ahead and put a generator at well 2 just because we want to make sure that we have enough funds to do the
So
Lower
are we on
Bridge.
budget with well 2?
We still haven't finalized that
You don't know
yet.
that,
We're still waiting
okay.
for a couple invoices.
Okay.
I still don't understand the answer.
The question?
No, the answer to the question.
Oh, I see, okay.
The project of the insulation, suppose that the well goes over budget, what are we gonna do with the insulation?
Come back to council to, approve cost overrun on the project, so if
But
we're.
right now, the way it is linked to the other one. It's
Correct.
not like a thing that we can actually, have we got an estimate for that?
We have all the estimates in from the Lower Bridge.
Is it gonna be still valid when we're gonna clear this? It's gonna be valid, because they're
Yes.
committed to that one?
Yep.
That's great,
Yep.
that's great. A quick question, because normally the permits and all that come through the Service Commission. I was just wondering, how big of a subdivision was the one that you referred to, that you are discussing?
The development
Yes.
permit with Hillside, that's 30-plus individual lots.
So that's a new one, or is it the old one that we knew?
That's the old one.
The old one, okay. And the only thing that I want to add, because you mentioned municipal designated highways, is the fact that we have received a letter from the province that basically puts the planning for the next year's work in limbo. Do you want to talk about that?
That's correct. So the municipal designated highway program, typically the town submits a plan to the province for each year. So the province has asked the town to withhold, or I guess not present any type of a plan for the next few years. Understandably, we're going through reform, but there will not be a municipal designated highway plan designated for next year. So that would be much the same with us, as well as the Village of Blacks Harbor. All the municipalities have been asked not to submit.
Okay, so that was important to know. Okay, so let's go on the item B, 7B, update on local government reform.
Thank you, Worship. Just fairly brief, we are working on preliminary budgeting with numbers across the 2 municipalities and 6 local service areas that are coming into Eastern Charlotte. And really what we're doing there right now is taking all the 2022 budgets, putting them into one document, then taking that document, and then we will be looking at it, updating it in terms of, inflation of cost, but pretty much running with the same budgets of both the 2 municipalities and the LSDs, but just increasing costs where, such things such as fuel and power and other expense. We are waiting for 3 bylaw templates as well from the province: a procedural bylaw, a remuneration of council bylaw, and a code of conduct bylaw. So they'll be offering 3 templates for those bylaws, and then that will be looked at by the local committee. Any changes would be updated, and then the minister will be responsible for passing those first 3 budgets. We're also waiting for a final decision what the Service Commission will be offering in terms of some of their regulated services, such as economic development and tourism. Just wondering what's being offered, as well as the costs associated with those services as well. So that's still being worked through as well. So that is it for the local government update.
Questions? I just want to clarify that the component of the Service Commission is a cost which has not yet been decided. I'm not sure if it's going to be in effect. It's going to be effect next year, or that's the plan.
Yeah.
Okay, so we may have some extra service and some extra taxes to pay for that. Fire report. Where's the fire chief?
I have a question.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
On the templates for the province, so we as a municipality have our own bylaws. For example, we have a code of conduct bylaw that is specific to St. George, or specific to our own municipal plan. So, just so I'm clear, the province is going to have a template for all of the entities that is going to be equal and uniform throughout the province? Is that what I'm seeing?
Correct. Something
Okay.
that are adjusted, because, that first meeting of council in January, we'll have to have, at least the code of conduct, the procedural bylaws in place before that meeting happens, because our procedural bylaw, even for the town, dictates sort of how the agenda is outlined and items in there. So without those bylaws, it would be almost tough to have at the first meeting.
So who's going to make so the province is going to make the decision on how we run things? Is that how that's going to look
that
like?
bylaw could be amended within the first council meeting.
Okay.
So, I guess, or the second council meeting. Yeah.
good now.
Fire report. Is the chief here?
I don't see the chief, no.
No.
Review that.
We can move on to the next one, building and planning report. Alex?
So last week, the commission presented a draft new St. George Municipal Plan bylaw and a proposed amendment to the existing municipal plan bylaw to the public on August 4th, and it was well attended, and this was done in accordance with the Community Planning Act. Based on the feedback during the public presentation and some minor errors that were in the original municipal plan document, the large draft that was presented to council and the public, the commission is recommending that council use an amended draft version of the municipal plan bylaw, which has now been retitled Bylaw 24C, and I believe the date on that was August 5th. So there were some changes to the numbering of some sections. There were some minor amendments to the general feature land use map. And there was an addition of a policy 3113 for rezoning applications to ensure, for council to ensure that applicants demonstrate how their proposal limit impacts on surrounding properties, and that council has some considerations when it's considering terms and conditions for such rezonings. Now, if council proceeds to a first reading of the municipal plan bylaw, the commission, planning staff, myself, and a couple others will begin working on a draft zoning bylaw to accompany the proposed plan. Now, the reason we move so quickly is because we have limited time with the term of this council and making sure that we can get something adopted before there's the election. We will have time if we can work with this tight schedule, but it's just keeping that in the front of council's mind when it's thinking about its deliberations on the larger municipal plan draft. With regard to development, there's been 14 building or development permits issued to date in 2022. The total value of construction is near $600,000. This is a decrease looking over year on year. So I was just checking some statistics, and September last year, so 1 month ahead, we were about 25 permits more than we are where we are standing today. So there was a lot more development pressure last year than there is this year. But as it is, last year was a very, very significant year and a bit of an anomaly if you look back over a multi-year period. So just keeping that in mind, there is a decrease in the number of permits that have been issued. But again, this is probably more on track with years previous to 2021. So that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions? Alex, can you give us some dates for meeting this goal of passing on the municipal plan in the term of this council?
So if council's prepared, it may be able to do a first reading tonight by title only with the municipal plan bylaw. And if it does so, I would recommend that council also consider doing two things: setting a date for a public hearing of objections, and as well putting a request for views to the Plan Review and Adjustment Committee, PRAC. Doing that would accomplish your two remaining legislative requirements under the Community Planning Act. And then after that happens, council consider doing its second and third reading. What we need to do as well, if this new municipal plan is going to be adopted, you will need to have a accompanying zoning bylaw that implements the municipal plan. And what the commission is prepared to do is put its resources in place to focus solely on the goal of putting a zoning bylaw in place that would align with the municipal plan. The municipal plan is the instructions for the zoning bylaw, so we can do it, and we can do it quickly. And we know what the shape of it would be if this municipal plan was passed. There wouldn't be any questions how to do it. So with regard to the zoning bylaw, what we would do is we'd have a zoning bylaw ready We would aim to have something ready in September so that you'd pass it. That would be your last essential bylaw to pass. You can do it in 22 days. You can pass a zoning bylaw in 22 days from the initial point council sees it to council giving third and final reading. So it's a quick turnaround, but it is a possibility. So I give that to you as a potential, and we're available to you to do it. And yeah, so if there's any more questions, I can take them.
So we can proceed with the first reading of the municipal plan.
Yes, go on.
Can I have a motion to actually have the first reading of the municipal plan? It's coming up, okay. So, okay, just, and just a question, if we do that thing today, the hearing is gonna be set up for when?
Well, you need to do it at least 21 days from today.
From
So
today.
I'd recommend if you count today, 22 days.
Okay, so we can
On a
discuss it,
calendar,
when discuss it, when the thing comes up. Okay, any other question? No. Thank you, Alex.
You're welcome.
Water and wastewater report.
Your worship, wastewater and water report for the month of July. Water consumption was down for the month of July, the average being 197,564 imperial gallons. Total usage year-to-date, 6.32 million imperial gallons used. Water levels have remained strong for this summer, as we've been having with only one well having an issue. Well 4 level is low now, which we expect to because the marsh area draws from the lake, and the lake is being low. It also had a coliform count of 11 show up, the latest round of testing, but it was on the inlet raw water side, and a phone call to the lab in St. John. The Department of Health advised us that as long as the chlorine residuals remain normal, that's on the outlet side, the well is fine, no signs of any bacteria showing up as well. So just an additional note with the water report as well. We are working with the province to have Canal Beach added to testing for a public beach. As of right now, we have no knowledge of the province actually testing the beach weekly or monthly. We've asked them to do so because it is a public beach. If not, in the interim, we will be testing the beach as well, just to ensure that the water is safe for swimmers. So that is the wastewater and water report.
Questions? Just a quick question. Why you think the water consumption was down?
Not really sure. We do have another, there'd be a case with one of the industrial users is down, and then another industrial user has reduced one of the shifts. So there's lots of reductions would be in the industrial side.
Transportation report.
Your worship. Just a lengthy transportation report. We've distributed that to council to review. Just a couple items to go through, and I did ask for Ron Groom to just, maybe to limit it up and summarize a little bit more, but it's almost like a daily report. A couple items just to sort of highlight with council. There was a fuel spill that cleaned up, which is highlighted on the first page. That was not us. That was a vehicle that had some fluids drain out of it on Main Street, so we did have the crew dispatched to clean that up on Main Street. And second page, the line painting company. So we do have some new roads in town that we're trying to get the line painting company to come back to address some of those this year. We don't want to go into winter without any lines on some of these roads. And the third page, the RCMP sign. We do have the RCMP speed trailer sign from the Service Commission in town this week and as well next week. It's making some rounds. Just to let everybody know that the speed limit on Main Street is 35 kilometers an hour. So we know the RCMP have in town with their traffic enforcement. And so it's also right now on Brunswick Street for this week. And we'll probably try to get it for a couple more weeks if we can. A short section of deteriorated curb was removed as well on Main Street on the third page. So that was out in front of just out here in front of the J.O. Spinney Drive and the entrance to the hotel. that part was replaced, and it's a good time to do that. It was heavily deteriorated, and to work with the coastal trail, we did get a bit of a discount on that as well. So we are looking at some of the concrete issues on Riverview Avenue right now. There's about 150 meters of concrete that's deteriorated quite considerably, leaving large chunks of concrete. So we have asked the concrete company to give us a bit of a quote on seeing what that would cost to replace that. So that's the transportation report.
Any question about the transportation report?
It mentions here that a new sign was erected at Canal advising the dangers of blue-green algae. Do we have a problem with blue-green algae at the lake?
Nothing this year, but since 2010, when it was first, there was a bloom. Once there's a bloom, it seems like it's basically, I guess, a report of death or so. It just stays with you forever. That's one of the things we are talking with the province on, to say that, when can we do some testing? They're doing this with a lot of other municipal beaches. So, the signs are great. The signs were paid for by the province. We've installed them. They gave us even a fee for installing them. However, it just sort of says that the threat is out there. The danger is out there. It doesn't necessarily say there's a bloom. So I think that's when testing would certainly benefit the users of the boat ramp or the public beach.
Thank you.
Any other question? Okay, moving on to bills paid and payable in principle to July 31st in the amount of $287,000 and $331. Questions?
Do we have a final budget for our family fun days?
Yes.
Is it in here? I didn't see it.
It's in here.
I didn't see it.
I'm $714 over budget, so
$714.
slap my hand.
That will be offset by the people when they bought their stuffed
Their
bears
bears,
and stuff
yeah.
like that. So we
Yeah.
probably will come just at the mark with the budget for the Summerfest.
Do I need to return my table there?
Yeah, return your day.
So, any other question?
The time capsule, who is that company that we have for designing that?
That's a third-party company that's doing designs. There's a website you can do that does outsourcing for any type of small designs. It's something you wouldn't take to an engineer, but maybe it's artist renderings. It's used by even engineering companies here in this area that use that company. So you go with an idea, and then it's sort of someone will pick it up. It's almost like an Uber outsourcing.
They're kind of local in New Brunswick, or are they
No,
outside?
it's you can put it out there on the internet, and then artists will pick it up and take the work and do it, and then do the proposals.
Okay.
Any other question?
No, I'm fine. I only had that one.
So if we don't have any more questions, I'd like to have a motion for approving bills and payable in principle to the amount stated here, $287,331.36.
I so moved.
And I'll second it.
And all in favor? New business. The proposed subdivision of 112 Mount Pleasant lot with municipal plan amendment for small residential subdivision.
I'd like to propose that we table this item, and if my motion has a seconder, I'll explain my rationale behind that.
I'll second that motion.
Why do we need to table it?
Okay, so we have,
So I explain my
Yeah.
rationale.
yeah, go ahead, please. Yes.
On Friday, Councillor McColton and I visited the location of And we had a lengthy discussion with the owners of the neighbouring properties, Lisa McKay and Raymond Hall, and I thank them for spending so much time with us and showing us around their properties. At the same time, Mr. Avery has purchased the land in question, and he's every right to do what he wants with it, provided he abides by the town bylaws. I personally feel the 3 proposed building lots are too small and would prefer to see the land subdivided for 2 larger lots, but this is his land, not mine. My suggestion to Lisa and Raymond was that perhaps we could meet with Mr. Avery, council, and Mr. Avery and themselves, and see if an amicable solution could be reached, which was acceptable to all parties, since, as I understand it, they are not opposed to 2 larger lots, and the town does need more housing. As it's still unknown how Mr. Avery would feel about this, I am proposing we table this until next month so we have a chance to consult with him. If he still wants to go ahead with the subdivision as planned, then council can vote on the proposed amendment to the bylaw next month.
I just have a quick observation, because I also spoke to several people about this, and my understanding is that 2 things. First of all, Mr. Avery has left the building, and the individuals who have been consulted understood that this proposal is not negotiable. It's either, like, Mr. Avery can always come back with a new proposal and we're gonna entertain it, but we don't have, in law, we don't have an ability, this proposal, to modify it as we wish, or consider it and modify it. Go ahead, Alex, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, and that's correct. You really you got to take your proposal as is. At the same time, what the deputy mayor's saying is that if you table it, you can get time to get more information, and that's it's a procedural decision for council to take. You can do that, but you can't ask that he change his proposal. You can basically obtain more information if you will. Yeah, no, it's the proposal as is, or the applicant comes in with a revision, in which case you can kind of put a pause on the process. Now, I'll just say, in a where we're at, like it legally, is we've had the public presentation, and after a public presentation, it's very normal for a bylaw to have some amendments made to it, because there's some chance for some initial feedback. It's more of an informal process. So you don't want to go to setting a date for a public hearing if you're going to be making a lot more radical changes to a bylaw. And the same would go for an applicant. If they're going to make a proposal, definitely don't want to be doing that at the point where council's prepared to go to do a public hearing and call a public hearing. So if there's concerns that this proposal may need to be, there's potential revisions need to be made, then that's one of the opportunities. You can just table it, look for more information, but you can't really, you can't change the person's proposal on their behalf.
So can I ask you, would it be a clean process if we say that this proposal does not meet neither our municipal plan nor our intended use for this area, and as such we reject it, and we are always open for another one?
Yeah.
Is it, like, I'm just wondering, would that thing make things clearer?
And this is really what council can decide tonight. So you can decide, we've had our proposal, we've heard what they want to do, we're prepared to say no, or we've heard what they want to do, we're prepared to say yes, or we're not sure, but there might be some more information we need to find out.
Yes.
Let's table it, and that's your third option. So those are really your 3 options, and it's really
3 options?
yes. So whatever council's will is, basically, those are what your suite of options, and I really can't tell you which is the right decision make.
Absolutely.
We just provide you what the decisions are.
So then, as a council, we can say that we would like to meet with them to get more answers to our questions.
Do you have any questions? I just wondering. Do you have any more questions as a council?
As a counselor?
Yes.
Yes, I do. I have not had a chance to go up and see Raymond, Mr. Hall, or Mrs. Hall about it. And I talked just briefly with Lisa just a moment ago, and I would really like to sit down with them and hear their really views and understand more what they really want. And that's my own personal view. I have that right.
For the other counselors, what is the other information that you're seeking? If there's, yeah, if that's your stance.
But we all have a right to voice our opinions.
Absolutely, you
And I
do.
am voicing my opinion. now,
Absolutely, you do.
Counselor Dick.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
would
do.
like to have a chance to speak with Mr. Hall. I haven't had a chance. And so I would like to see his property like Counselor Colton and the deputy mayor did. I have not had that chance. So I personally would like to have that chance. That's my viewpoint.
Councilor Rubin, do you have any questions?
No, the only one that can make any changes, from what I understand, is the applicant himself.
Yes.
That's right.
So henceforth, any discussion, he makes the final decision whether he wants to change his application.
Yeah, and it's council's job to accept it or not.
Yep.
Yep.
So the application as is, do you have any, I just want to clarify the Councillor Allison concern. The application as is for having small, 4 small lots, as we're about to actually vote for a new municipal plan that calls for the opposite. Do you have any possibility that you may accept it?
My personal thought.
No, I'm asking Breda, just, yeah.
I thought you were talking to Counselor Rubin.
Yeah, no, I was just, yeah, I got your point. Yeah, well, I'm just trying to understand. Does any councillor is prepared to approve 4 small lots as prepared in this application? That's my question. And if we cannot, if we are not prepared to accept it, why we keep people in hell by actually let them wait? I'm just trying to understand what is the council's position on that.
I believe the motion on the floor was that Deputy Mayor Rayner wanted to table this until September to give each and every councillor the ability or the, I don't know what word I'm looking for, the chance to go and talk to Mr. and Mrs. Hall, Lisa McKay, and Mr. Avery if he so chooses to talk to council. I know some of you don't agree, you're shaking your head, but I personally went up, I talked at length to both Lisa and Raymond and his wife. I saw the property, both properties are beautiful, but I also still have some questions that I would like answered because I've looked at the history of Mount Pleasant, AKA, as some of you know it, as Poorhouse Hill. I understand the agriculture side, and I'm not a dummy when it comes to looking at agriculture and cows and horses, although I'm scared to death of horses, but I did manage to go over and look at them. I just have other questions about, I want to hear Mr. Avery's views personally, because I don't feel that he got a chance to express properly what he wanted to do on Tuesday night. And that's where I stand. I want to get more information, and then I am prepared to make a decision, be it whether the general public likes it or doesn't like it. I will make the decision based on facts, not rumors, not innuendos, and not over-emotional whatever. So I agree with the motion that we should table it until September. Mr. Avery may come back and say, forget it, ladies and gentlemen, I want it the way it is. If he does, then I will make my decision at that time. And until then, I want to get more information.
So you are still prepared to entertain the plan as is?
No, I'm not. I'm not prepared to entertain anything as is. I want more information.
Well, you are prepared to entertain the plan as is, potentially?
No.
So you're not prepared to entertain the plan as is?
I am prepared to wait and get more information, and that is all I'm going to say. I would like the discussion tabled until September. And whether that answers your question or not, I don't know, because now I'm confused.
I'm confused too. I guess you don't have a,
I mean, my stance is that all of council had ample opportunity to speak to to Lisa or to Raymond. This was brought forward on August 3rd, so there was plenty of time. And also on August, sorry, it was the last regular council meeting. What date was that, Jason?
July the 11th.
Okay, sure. So the council had plenty of time to speak to them both, to speak to both of the affected parties. And we also had the opportunity to ask questions to Mr. Avery himself. So, the opportunities were there.
I respectfully disagree, Councillor Dederakis, because the first night that I saw Mr. Avery was here at that meeting, and in fact, I thought the gentleman at the very back was Mr. Avery until they told me he was somebody else.
He is quite handsome, yes.
Yes, you're very handsome, sir, but you weren't Mr. Avery. So I respectfully disagree that every councillor had the same opportunity to speak to all parties involved. And I have a few other things that I will discuss with each councillor individually and not in public that I'm rather ticked off about right now. So that's all I'm going to say.
I don't think that it's legal to discuss this matter in a closed matter.
Okay, if you want me to say it right out loud,
Please.
then we'll say it.
Please.
And my CAO is telling me to shut my mouth.
No, please, no, the CAO is not allowed to do that. The CAO is not allowed to do that.
Okay, then I'll tell you. I
Yes.
do not, and I quote, and I am very angry and upset with you, Mayor Dederakis, asking someone to call me and talk to me about my decision, and it is my decision and only my decision what I decide, whether I vote for or against Mr. Avery's proposal. I do not need you asking someone to call me this afternoon, explain to me about what a farm is. I know what a farm is. My grandfather had a farm. And I do not take kindly to that. You want me to say it? I'm saying it. I'm ugly. I'm upset. I have a mind. I am an intelligent, mature woman that can make her own mind up through what I feel. And I don't feel I have enough information to make an intelligent, informative information. Against or for Lisa and her farm, beautiful farm. Against or for Mr. Hall. Against or for Mr. Avery. And that's end of discussion.
Well, I must answer that. When people are coming to me and telling me what the heck we are doing as a council, I have an obligation to tell them that if they disagree with what's happened...
Why didn't you come to me personally?
We actually discussed that on several occasions, and I found that our approach to this one, like today, we are tabling something without putting on the table the questions. That to me, that puzzles me. We are about to approve a bylaw that moves in the opposite direction, and we say, well, let's stop smoking, but let's buy a pack of cigarettes. It's so...
I don't smoke.
That's what I'm saying. That's my point. Anyways, I guess Councillor Dederakis covered her points. I will go to Councillor Armstrong.
And I happen to agree. I think that we as a council, from my perspective, have had lots of time to digest both sides of the issue, and I am ready to move forward.
Excellent. So we have a motion on the table whether to table that. Has it been seconded?
Yes, it has.
Has been seconded. So the matter goes to vote, and I will start from Councillor Allison.
I would like to table it.
Councillor Rubin.
Table it. Obviously, I want to table it, or I wouldn't put the motion on the
No.
table.
I'm a no.
And I'm bloody no. Noted. So the matter has been tabled until
Next meeting. September.
until September. Anything that we commit to do between now and September as a town? I'm not talking about private discussion. Anything that we have to actually do as a town, like ask our CAO to do, or we just do it and just for our private reasons. Like anybody wants to suggest something that we should be doing as a town?
Well,
Like-
my suggestion was that we contact Mr. Avery, we get all the proponents together with council and discuss it rationally, and maybe because I I would like to see everybody come to an amicable agreement. Maybe there is a way of doing that. Maybe Mr. Avery is not interested in coming here anymore after what happened at the meeting. That's up to him, but I think we have to contact Mr. Avery, and we have to contact Raymond, we have to contact Lisa, and we all have to sit down and discuss it.
Is our role, do we act as mediators? Is that our role?
Why wouldn't we?
I thought our role is just to take the application at face value and make a decision whether it's appropriate or not.
In which case, if you don't want to do that, then we vote on it. You put it, if you don't want to consult with him, then we'll put it on the agenda for next month, because we just tabled it, and you can vote on it then.
Okay, so to answer the question, there is nothing that we commit as a town to do individually. Like, are we gonna ask to have a meeting? Like, we're gonna commit to charge our CAO to actually arrange a meeting of the parties?
Yes.
Okay, that's a very, very specific thing. Should we get this gentleman to be with us? What do you think?
Is that our third option?
No, I'm saying if we're going to have that meeting with, because I'm not an expert on these things, about these negotiations, and I would have liked to have someone who knows whether, even if we do something legal, by actually engaging in these things on a proposal that our job is to say yay or nay, should we actually ask Alex to be in the meeting?
I would have no problem with that at all.
I have no problem with Alex
I
being there.
am prepared to attend.
Excellent. So Jason is going to pursue that setting up that meeting.
And if Mr. Avery doesn't want to meet, then I guess we have our answer.
And we'll have Zoom.
Exactly.
Yeah, and we have
That's right, we can do through
Wow.
Zoom with him. If he can't make it, we can do it through Zoom.
Okay. So we move on to the next item, which is the new municipal plan, Bylaw 24C. First reading by title only. Any questions, or we can proceed? Can I have a motion to have the first reading?
I'll make a motion to have the first reading.
I'll second it.
Okay, and all in favor?
Aye.
So having done that, can we set the public hearing date,
22 days? 22 days after today?
which is
April 30th, isn't it?
So, yeah, tomorrow, 21 days from then.
What date would that be?
What date would that be?
He's checking it there.
somebody has a calendar?
It's gonna be, pardon?
August 31st?
I thought it was
August 31st?
Yeah, August 31st would work.
Okay.
So what's the date, sorry?
August 31st.
August 31st. So let it be set for August 31st to have the hearing. Say again? Yeah, motion to set the day, yes.
Can I make that motion to have the public hearing for August 31st, 2022?
And all in favor?
Aye.
Second. I have no idea. A request for views of Prague on the said municipal plan by law, if applicable. Do that thing has to be done now or after the hearing?
That should be done at this time, yes. You can wait,
Okay, no.
but you will add some time at the end of this.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, so I need a motion, yes, right? Okay, we have a motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, and all in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
Okay, a letter from Mr. Alan Holmes. Jason, do you want to introduce the subject for a second?
Yes, Your Worship, so this is just a request for Mr. Allen Holmes to utilize Town of St. George logo so that he can create, material with the St. George logo on it.
So just to inform the gallery, we have a request from a resident in St. George who said that after the municipality surrenders its charter, cease to exist, that things like a community strong or this thing with the river and the crest and logo that may be used by Friends of St. George in T-shirts, hats, or whatever, without paying some sort of a fee or seeking approval from the owner, if there is an owner. So I just want to hear if there are any questions about this proposal of Mr. Before I put to vote. Are there any questions that we have about it?
I guess there's just a couple clarifications is that, council, if it's so chooses to give him permission, that would be for the length of the town of St. George. We're still trying to determine whether logos as well as seals, as well as all assets of the town of St. George will be passed on to Eastern Charlotte as its an entity. So logos and seals, as we know, are identifying marks of the municipality. So that would be a question. There are maybe friends today that would maybe use this logo, but coming next year, we certainly, if that logo is passed on to Eastern Charlotte, I mean, it would be just like any other trademark. The Village of Black Sabbath is with town of St. George. So.
Do you have a trademark?
We don't have a trademark, but we do have seals, which are identifying symbols of the town.
So, like,
So he wants to use this? This is one of the things that he wants to be able to use?
That
Yeah.
is the logo, yes.
That's the logo. But the seal is the incorporation, that's not able to be used. Yeah, that,
It is.
We can't give away our legal tender
No,
on
I
that
didn't
sense.
think you were
Because
allowed.
We can't do that. Any company can't do that.
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
no, I
that's
mean,
not,
this
that's
this
not
is,
an option.
yeah, this belongs to the town of St. George as
Which
well
one?
as that, as well as the seal.
no, it's not. That's the thing, actually, because a company is actually selling T-shirts every Christmas and we advertise them. A company is selling pictures of this one here and we advertise in the thing. Why? Because we never actually pay for this thing. We actually never pay the artist who did that. So that says a lot about our ownership on these things.
If anyone is using that symbol, they're doing it legally. They would have to have permission to use the logo. So if there is an artist out there, or if anyone's using it on letterhead or whatever, that would be done illegally.
But we never pay him.
I don't know about how it was developed. We have had that use.
I can confirm from information that I received from the staff that we never pay him. And that's why every Christmas we give him the permission to actually advertise through our website that he's selling these posters.
I think what we're talking about is two different things. I think the logo and then the poster, if we're talking about the Funday Bay experience, these are they're tourism like watercolors. That is just a watercolor of his own rendering of the gorge. It's not the actual town of St. George logo. So there's two different things. I think that's what we're looking at. So the one with the actual logo, no one should be using that. But if somebody's doing an artist coloring or an artist rendering of the gorge and saying, town of St. George that doesn't match this actual logo that we have, that's something different. It could be an artist rendering. But this logo with its color, even the color is, we do have the numbering of the colors and how this is supposed to be displayed, much like the province would have. There's a bit of a protocol with that. We can't change the trees to red or the river to black or whatever. There is a certain criteria with that logo. So
in other words, if someone sees this particular logo, and this is the seal, which is on top of the letterhead, it signifies that it's town of St. George, and just not everybody can pick it up and use it, is what you're saying?
correct. The logo is identified on public works trucks, fire trucks as well.
Yeah,
So.
so, I mean, it's,
There are people that have done different artist renderings of the gorge and said, town of St. George unofficially, they're not representing the town, but, the logo on a letterhead would be official, official document, whether it's a logo or a seal. We usually go back and before.
What does our letter say?
As of right now, we're waiting to hear back from the province on the item of logos and seals. They've not given us a definite answer as of yet. It's one of the many things that they park or put on the radar. We've not seen the draft of the regulation, how it's going to be worded. Well, we've not seen how the wording in the regulation as well deals with assets too, of how the assets of St. George will go to Eastern Charlotte and Village of Blacks Harbor.
Can I ask, can I put that thing on a T-shirt and walk around with this?
Sure.
I mean, you know, there is no a flag of Acadie these days. There is no Acadie anymore. It has been. Correct. So there will not be a town of St. George come January.
But the,
It'll be a town, but it won't be
That's
incorporated.
still-
No, there will not be a town of St. George. It will be like a location, St. George.
Where's it going?
Will not be a town. It will be St. George.
Okay.
Okay, so that's my point. I'm just wondering. So we're going to have an answer on that one soon. I mean,
we would hope with the regulations, of course. I mean, if the regulations come out and say that, you know, seals and logos are not going to be taken from the current municipalities and transferred to the new entity, I think there's the answer right there. But if the province does come out and say, you know, logos and seals are going to be moved to the new entity, I think then that's
Okay.
also an answer, so.
Yeah, but I can't take the seal of my company and just give it away to somebody, regardless if my company is defunct or not. My seal is my seal, and it stays with my box for 7 years for my auditing if I should ever happen to have that
Correct.
happen.
Correct.
So, yeah, I'd be a little bit leery of the seal, for sure.
exactly. Also, I mean, it's not but the other one is pretty nice. The one with it's a very nice.
I guess one thing, you know, is
Artwork.
we do have to consider the fact that when Eastern Charlotte is formed, we don't need to have people sending Eastern Charlotte Council letters with the old Town of St. George logo on the top. We just need to avoid that. That just adds confusion. It's a representative of, at that time, an old local government, so we don't need to maintain those type of existence and add confusion for people to say, you know, I guess the Town of St. George as a municipality still exists because I see the logo everywhere. You know, in time, Eastern Charlotte will have a logo to identify it, just like the Town of St. George and the Village of Blacks Harbor has today. So we just don't need to add those confusions too, that, you know, people are running around. I mean, you could have an EMO event next year and suddenly somebody has a jacket with the Town of St. George logo on the back, appearing to be a local government official. You know, so even though that doesn't form, not everyone's gonna maybe know that.
So for the purpose of our topic today, we have a line on the ground, and that is the regulations which have not been yet
Correct.
articulated. And we have also a decision on whether or not we can allow Mr. Holmes to print 10,000 T-shirts now that we are still a council, to actually give to all his grandchildren. So is there any concern if Mr. Holmes prints 10,000 T-shirts to give to his grandchildren between now and December? Anybody has a concern if Mr. Holmes prints T-shirts to give to his grandchildren?
I think he'd have a concern if he's got 10,000 T-shirts he wants to give to his grandchildren.
I didn't hear that. But,
No, you didn't hear that.
I'm just wondering, Jason said that right now we have the authority to say, Mr. Holmes, as long as you don't make money out of it, we are prepared to actually let you print 10,000 T-shirts for your grandchildren.
I'd like to table this until we find
table.
out legally what we're
Okay.
allowed to do and what we're not
Are we
allowed to
planning to
do.
contact a lawyer about that?
Sure we can. We can definitely get a clarification from them.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so we have a motion to table and to second it?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor? And we'll go to correspondence. We have the real man actually here. Invitation to touch a truck in Blacks Harbor. John, do you want to actually say anything? No? Okay. Do you want to introduce it?
Your worship, just a general invite for residents in the area, Eastern Charlotte community event. So it's a touch a truck that's going to be held at the Patrick Connors Recreation Complex on Saturday, August the 27th, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And it's open for all ages to come and touch a truck. Certainly, we're looking at the St. George Fire Department sending a vehicle down at least. So it's a good community event.
It's a great cause, too.
No problem with that.
Can you, I just missed, so this is, happens on August 27, whole day or?
Right here, yeah.
Yeah, Saturday, August the 27th.
Okay,
Yeah, Saturday, August the 27th, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m.
okay.
at
It
the
is a
Patrick
fundraiser
College.
too, as
It's a
well.
fund,
It's a local breakfast program.
breakfast program.
Oh, I see, okay, yeah.
Okay,
It's an Eastern Charlotte community event.
and we have a second one, correspondence from Mr. Jason, correspondence from Mr. Jason Frost, regarding the Coastal Link Trail route.
That's correct, Your Worship. So this just, Mr. Frost wrote a letter just being opposed to the Coastal Link Trail, as it was showing in the municipal plan as having to go south of the highway, be adjacent to his property. That was original plan way back in 2018, 2019. So the new real Coastal Link is actually going north of the highway. So we won't be using the old route that would go adjacent to his property. So basically, the Coastal Link will come out on Riverview Avenue, turn right, head up on Riverview Avenue, head north, and then use the crosswalk to go into the Day Adventure Center. So that's the Coastal Link route. As well, we took out any mention, as you'll see in the draft municipal plan that's first reading tonight, had no mention of Coastal Link. That was removed as well. So we would have to be bound by the municipal plan, and it's the incorrect route. So both of those items have been addressed.
So, are you going to respond to the gentleman?
Yes, I already spoke with him over the phone. Correct.
And he was satisfied?
Yep.
Okay.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, and we have one more letter. In the
So
revised
just another
agenda?
correspondence, this is in regards to proposal of the proposed bylaw 24B-2201 for Mr. Stan Jerry, just being opposed to the municipal plan amendment 2201.
Okay, I just quickly scan over the letter. It appears that this gentleman has a real experience with having lots which are significantly bigger than what is proposed. And maybe we can invite him to be at the meeting and give us his insights. I think it's going to be a valuable insight to our discussion. So if the parties agree, and I'm talking about like Raymond or Lisa I would say that he may actually bring insights in the discussion that we may be missing. So, is he here? He was earlier here.
He just stepped out.
He stepped out. Okay. Okay. Public presentations appearance. Do you have anyone to actually make any public presentation today? They all have the 10 minutes of fame. No one. And we are still missing the fire chief. Must be, actually, that's a good excuse, yes. Yes. Okay. Let's go to statements by members of council. And I should start from my right. Brenda.
Okay. I just want to thank everybody for coming this evening, and just to let everybody know that Thursday night's music night is still going on. We have 3 more nights for Thursday night. The food bank is really appreciating everything that we are doing, and I just like to thank the community for supporting it.
Councilor Rubin.
I'd like to have a big thanks for Mark Grant and Paul Ingram for the contribution to Family Fun Days, to many organizations and things they carried on with and contributed their time, especially the barbecue that I was involved in. They done a great job.
You know
Councilor
why?
Colton.
You know why? He was supposed to barbecue the hot
Hey,
dogs.
they done a great job.
Yes, they did.
I
You
give the
didn't-
credit where credit's due. They done a
Yeah,
great
you
job.
didn't get a chance to burn
I
not
was
a
there.
dog.
Councilor Coulton.
I just want to thank everybody for their attendance at Family Fun Days. I especially want to thank Cook Aquaculture for the beautiful fireworks display, and all the vendors that came, all the people that worked very hard on this. And again, too, especially Marg. She was our social butterfly for the Strawberry Social. She was there for the paint and sip. She was there for the supper. And she took over Sam's job, by the way. And
Great.
yeah, he did. And also Paul was the same. And I just thank everybody for coming. And I hope that everybody enjoyed themselves. If they didn't, it wasn't my fault. I'm sorry.
No, it was a great event.
I wanted to go out with those little kids in the foam,
Yeah.
but they wouldn't let me go.
No, you did a great job there, Nancy. I'm going to start from at the very end. Councillor Armstrong.
Okay, well, I'm going to go on like a broken record, but I want to talk about the four-wheelers. July 5th, we had our public hearing about the four-wheelers that are driving on Main Street and Riverview only. It seems to me, however, the ATVs seem to think now that they can drive all over the community. So I have a couple of questions. What are the RCMP doing to stop it? Are not these off-road vehicles illegal? And we found out earlier that they are. Do you know that the RCMP, that we're paying the RCMP $456,000 a year? And we've been told that the RCMP cannot chase the ATVs, and yet if there was a murderer on the loose, they'd have no trouble chasing them. If you hired a builder to build your home for $460,000, would you not know what your scope of work was? If your builder didn't install the doors, would you pay him? And yet here we are, $456,000. We have a bylaw, actually, 23D, that clearly says that it shall be the duty of all members of the RCMP assigned to the town of St. George to enforce all traffic laws of the town and the Motor Vehicle Act of the province of New Brunswick. We also have a bylaw 37 that clearly states no person shall make or permit to be made any noise within the town likely to cause a public nuisance or otherwise disturb the inhabitants of the town. Yet, the off-roaders seem to be allowing to do whatever they want. All hours of the night, disturbing the residents with noise and racing up and down the streets. $456,000 of yours and my hard-earned money. For what? No one seems to know, or else they're not willing to tell us. So complaints, they seem to fall on deaf ears. Enforcers of the law seem to be crippled, not able to do a thing. How can we continue to allow this to happen, or how do we continue to have it continue? And how long do we have to tolerate this? So I'm going to call all residents of St. George to step up, start attending to the council meetings, get involved, speak up. There are some big changes heading your way, and if you don't say anything, no one will know that it actually matters. Help make the difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Armstrong. Councillor Detorakis.
Sure. First, I want to thank Stan Jerry for his letter that he sent to council. I think it covers a lot of points, and this is in relation to bylaw 24B-2201. In regards to the council's decision to table the matter, I see no reason as to why the council should not vote on this matter. And I think it's emotionally manipulative to those that are directly affected to not address it on the spot. I don't believe this is a matter where we're lacking facts or information. I think this is a refusal to act. And I do not see how this could be marked as positive when all it shows that the council isn't prepared to take a stand for the town it allegedly represents.
Thank you, Councillor Detorakis. Deputy Mayor.
I'm not going to get into a debate about it. I will just say that I thought it was a good way to come to some sort of amicable settlement, and I will leave it at that, because I've already had my say on that. And the only other thing I want to say is all the people Nancy thanked, but she didn't thank herself. She was the lady who was behind the Family Fun Day. She was the lady who was at the helm, and she deserves credit for everything that she did for that
Absolutely.
week. And I know it was a lot of stress on her.
I know, and she did an excellent job. And I said that in my little speech, and I will say it again. You did an excellent
I'm
job.
still standing.
Yes. Well, my 2 cents is I'm extremely proud of this community. I'm extremely proud for coming together when a threat was put to the livelihood and the lifestyle of a neighbor. Whether or not it was within our town or at the border of our town, I saw many people who actually said, we'll stand up and we will not accept it, and came here and they lobbied and called councillors. And I'm really proud of that community, because I have been there 40 years ago when this thing happened. And I feel for people like Lisa, and I feel for people like Raymond. And I'm very upset with what has happened to them and how they're going to continue living for another month with a cloud over their heads. We expect better from our leadership, and we expect more support for the people, for our neighbors and our friends. We all need housing. There is no question about that, but we don't do progress by making harm. And that is even for medicine the starting point. Do no harm, and then you deal with everything else. So I'm really proud of all these people who came at the open house. I'm really proud of this councillor there, actually both councillors, but who actually stood up for what they believe, and they drew a line. I hope that we can learn something from this when this thing ends. This thing started in a way that should not have started, and that perhaps caused a lot of problems, because it started in a way that normally you have consultations with the actual people and then you proceed to actually make a proposal. Now we are actually have a proposal, and now we're going to do the consultation. And that is one of the reasons for which we are where we are. Thank you all for coming. I'd like a motion to actually...
I'll make that motion to adjourn.
And thank you very much all.